The following review is intended for entertainment purposes and targeted for adult fans of the series.
Roxy brings a container of Morph-X to Mayor Daniels. Evox, 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 Evox. Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to another Power Rangers Beast Morphers 2.0 episode review. Last week we took a little sports-themed diversion, but now it is time for the 8th episode. Yes, sadly, heroes, it is time for the mid-season finale. Let's see if Beast Morphers 2.0 heads into its hiatus strong, hopefully with a cliffhanger, by taking a look at the 8th episode of Beast Morphers 2.0, Secret Struggle. Please make sure you're subscribed to my channel to see all of my videos. Ring that bell, get your notifications set up so you find out whenever I post brand new videos, and consider supporting the channel financially on Patreon or Ko-fi. Unfortunately, the episode begins with a Ben and Betty gag. I really wish that I could skip it, but unfortunately, it also introduces a brand new weapon, the Beast-X King, I guess, Spin Saber. Man, I guess that lion DNA is just leading to all kinds of advances at Grid Battle Force. Nate says he needs to test it, and Betty snatches the sword, saying she'll do it. Instead of saying, no, put down the dangerous weapon, Betty, Nate just kind of meekly agrees to let her do it, and then, I don't know, she and Ben helicopter up to the ceiling and then fall down and break all their arms and legs? I guess it's funny. So the episode actually begins with Steel walking into the lab. He tells Nate that the Scarabsorbed stabilizers are not functioning properly and asks Nate to take a look at it, but Nate says that he's been working on the sword all day and he's tired, begging out to do it tomorrow. But then Zoey walks into the lab and basically says exactly the same thing Nate did, and he says he'll get right on it that night. Steel is, of course, at first confused by this, but then actually puts 2 and 2 together all by himself. Zoey denies it, but in her rush to run out of the room, a magazine slips out of her bag. Steel snatches it and refuses to give it back, you know, like a child would do, and realizes that it's a book of first date ideas. The cat is out of the bag, and by that I mean that the magazine is out of the Grid Battle Force backpack that we apparently can't buy. Thanks so much for twisting that knife just a little bit more, Beast Morphers. So Zoey admits that they have feelings for each other. Steel is confused, since love is a many splendored thing and all, and Zoey explains, for like the 19th time, that Grid Battle Force has a rule forbidding Rangers from dating Rangers. Steel asks why, saying it's a stupid rule, and Zoey says she's really not sure.
You're stupid.
Okay, really? You are actually going to paint this as just some arbitrary rule they made up just to mess with the Rangers' lives? Rangers can't date Rangers because it creates lots of complications in a battlefield scenario. Your heart tells you to protect the one you love when that may not be your best tactical decision. And even if you don't act on that emotion, having to make the choice to do so is a tactical delay at what could be a critical moment. The rule is harsh, but it does make sense. Zoey says the two of them are not planning to break the rule, and Steel decides to keep this to himself. Roxy brings a canister of Morph-X to Evox just out in the open. Apparently he ran out of enough Morph-X to maintain his Mayor Daniels form, and the infusion lets him switch back. Just as he does, Zoey walks up. A quick-thinking Evox claims that Roxy was trying to kidnap him. The two girls fight, and I have one big pro and one big con for this scene, which was the episode's preview, so I was ready for it. The pro is that, thank Zordon, Zoey gets a solo morphing sequence. She also goes Beast X mode by herself, which is neat to a slightly lesser degree. The con is that even before she morphs, she holds her own against a morphed Roxy. Now, at first I was upset that she was able to kick Roxy like 10 feet back, but I mentioned that on Twitter and had some people remind me that Zoey does have Jackrabbit DNA, so her kicks being more powerful does make more sense. However, I still hate that Zoey can take hits from Roxy without being flung back. I'm standing my ground here. I'm not going to pull my punches on this. Roxy is a Power Ranger. She accesses the morphing grid through what is probably also a partial bond with Jackrabbit DNA. Zoey should not be able to take hits from what's essentially a superhero. This should be a complete mismatch. Maybe Ravi could stand in with his gorilla strength, but not Zoey and not Devin, which are the two that we've seen do so. Anyway, another really cool pro for this scene is an ability Roxy reveals, able to dangle chains from her pistol grips and whip the guns around like sword whips, you know, kind of like Gia. Even in Beast X mode, Zoey gets knocked down by this. However, she does recover and uses a Jackrabbit spin strike to knock Roxy out. Her body sparks like she's gonna explode, but she teleports away. Daniels thanks her for the rescue, but she wonders what Evox wants with him. At Grid Battle Force, Commander Shaw is very concerned to hear that Evox is after Mayor Daniels, and Nate just jabs a tracker into his skin without asking for permission. He's very upset at first before realizing he doesn't really have a reason to object, except that he absolutely does. That is kind of the thing that you need to ask consent before doing. Shaw also wants to assign 2 Rangers to protect the mayor as bodyguards undercover. Steele volunteers Nate and Zoey to get them more time together, of course, and they sheepishly agree. Daniel says that he needs to make a phone call and steps out into the hallway, able to somehow contact the Crystal Dimension on Daniel's cell phone. With a tracker inside of his body now, would that even work? Evox is a robot. Couldn't he just eliminate the tracker? Anyway, he can't return to the base without revealing its location, so they need to figure out how to get Morph-X to him.
I have an idea.
Really? What is it?
Let's leave!
Or, here's a different idea. How about doing what you did at the start of the episode? Yes, you almost got caught, but just be a little bit more careful and you should be fine. Anyway, Nate and Zoey are getting ready for their mission, but then Ben and Betty walk in with Steele. I once again need to discuss this scene, but it's for a number of good reasons. Ben and Betty have invented clothing capsules, which are basically just like the wands from Animal Crossing, but in capsule form, that allow you to instantly change your clothing. They throw one at Nate and Zoey, and they are instantly decked out for a night on the town. Nate in a sharp tux, and Zoey in a gorgeous dress. It is amazing technology that showcases how smart the two can be when they apply themselves. Unfortunately, these outfits don't exactly match going undercover to observe the mayor. Ben says that's fine, throwing another capsule at Zoey. But apparently these things double freeze backfire, bouncing off of Zoey and hitting Steele, putting him into a pretty pink sparkly dress, which he actually likes. Good for him. Ben and Betty leave since their role in the scene is now complete. Steele says the two of them can explain these outfits they're wearing with this heart-shaped box of chocolates and this dozen roses that he just so happens to have. Nate quickly puts together that he's trying to set the two of them up. He says that Zoey told him, throwing her directly under the bus, but she explains that he had already figured it out. The two of them again refuse to break the rule, saying they now have to go and change clothes, but Steele says they'll be seeing more of him. The mayor is having lunch with some Canadian dignitary for some reason that's not important to the plot, while Zoey sits conspicuously nearby watching them. Nate walks over with his own bowl of ramen, Zoey having already gotten one earlier, and mentions that while this isn't officially a date, it is nice that the two of them are getting to spend some time together. Steele sneaks up from behind and actually shows some game here, using a long, thin rod he found nearby to knock over Nate's bowl of ramen, so he and Zoey have to share hers and sit closer together. Honest to goodness, they do the Lady and the Tramp bit, eating on the same noodle until they realize they're face to face with each other. What, is Nate gonna push the egg over to Zoey with his nose next? No, instead, he gently takes her face in his hand, and it actually looks like the two of them are going to kiss. This is another hint that we got before the episode, with Abraham Rodriguez tweeting out some photos of this moment to generate some hype. So, did it happen? Did we break the nearly 30-year-long streak and finally get another on-screen kiss in Power Rangers? Of course we didn't. This is a kid's show and kissing is gross. Just as they're about to kiss, the bowl tips over and pours broth onto Zoey's leg. She says it was her fault, she wasn't watching, and then realizes that neither of them were watching Mayor Daniels, who slipped away while they were distracted. Evox runs off, calling Blaze and Roxy for more Morph-X. They teleport in, but Nate and Zoey are right behind the mayor. The two decide to teleport right away, and Daniels berates the two Rangers for not being there to protect him. They say they'll take him back to the base because I guess they can just bail on the Canadian guy, huh? He's probably polite enough to understand, eh? Okay, heroes, it gets a little bumpy at this point, so strap in. Back at the base, the mayor is still berating Nate and Zoey for failing to protect him. That's a little weird because if you think about it, there was no indication that there was a struggle at the table, so clearly Daniels ran away from them. Anyway, Shaw says that she found their lapse in duty unusual, so she checked the surveillance footage, and that is immediately another plot hole, because if they have cameras all over the city and a tracker in Daniels' skin, why do they need to follow him personally? The footage shows the two of them nearly kissing, and Shaw basically forces them to fess up to their feelings for each other. She is furious with them, reminding them about the rules about Rangers dating. And this is where we hit the biggest flaw in the episode. They're not. Commander Shaw is acting like the rules say that Rangers are not allowed to have feelings for each other, but you can't do that. You can't legislate the human heart. People's feelings are outside of their control. What you can control are their actions, and in terms of actions, Nate and Zoey have stayed perfectly in line. They have hurt themselves by not dating. The two of them are to be commended for putting their duties ahead of their emotions, not yelled at because you don't even know what your own rules mean. By the way, Ravi takes this chance to say that the rules sure made him pretty miserable. Nice little callback, but again, Ravi is the rules guy. If anyone on this team would understand the purpose of this rule, it would be him. Steele also admits to setting all of this up, but Shaw doesn't care because she's not immune to being written out of character when the plot demands it. She has Ravi replace Nate on the mayor's detail and says they'll discuss this another time. The two of them arrive somewhere with Mayor Daniels, scoping the area while he secretly calls Blaze and Roxy, demanding that they ambush the Rangers and get him that Morph-X. Blaze and Roxy teleport into the area and look for a distraction. Roxy sees a tiara on a little girl's head and just walks over and takes it. When she turns around, Roxy just goes, shh. And the little girl just gets this look on her face like, huh, that's a weird thing to happen. I guess I'll just let this lady take my crown. She creates Tiaratron from this, and you know, I really have to praise the concept here. Tiaratron is another weird monster from the Sentai footage, but they were desperate. It's basically the first thing that Roxy laid her eyes on, so it's all she really had to work with. The mayor and Rangers walk, the mayor coughing more and more as his power fades, and a woman's scream alerts them to a jump-kicking Tiaratron. The two of them fight the monster, thankfully not getting very far because, again, unmorphed. They instamorph, Ravi fighting the monster while Zoey watches the mayor and reports in. There's also a Gigadrone on the way, Commander Shaw sending Devin to deal with that, and having Nate and Steele go help on the ground. The two of them can form a Megazord that would probably be more okay, fine. Devin controls the Racer Zord in battle mode, which is riding the Lion Zord as a motorcycle, as Nate and Steele arrive to help with the ground battle. Ravi is overheating. Whoa, there's a callback. So Nate and Steele jump into the fight while he rests. Meanwhile, Devin gets to Tiara Drone, which is just a beta model Gigadrone wearing a tiara, which looks incredibly goofy. However, that tiara is actually powerful, able to copy itself into drones that attack the Racer Zord. So hang on a second. Tiara Drone can create tiara drones. Meanwhile, Robbie cools down enough to get back into the fight. Blaze and Roxy realize that they're running out of time, so they morph and attack the mayor directly, with Zoey defending him. She realizes she can summon the new weapon, so she summons the spin saber, whatever it's called. To clarify the confusion that I hinted at earlier, the toy is apparently called the Beast-X King Spin Saber, but the weapon on the show is only referred to as the Beast-X Spin Saber. Whatever it's called, this weapon is incredibly goofy. It seems to be a sword whose only purpose is to be able to be spun. Kinda like you can do with any sword. Look, I can spin this sword. Is this a spin saber? I can spin that. Robbie goes Beast X mode and demonstrates a new ability, able to manifest one of Smash's fists and using it to smash Tiaratron and destroying her. Dang, back-to-back weeks that Robbie has destroyed a Robotron by himself. Robbie's getting a little bit OP. Do you think we can get a nerf on the next update, please? Blaze and Roxy take Zoey down and demorph her. Roxy goes in for the kill, but Nate jumps in front of her, taking the blasts himself and also getting demorphed. Zoey is of course enraged by this, leaping over to the sword unmorphed and throwing it at the two generals, destroying them. Again, should we start a death counter? I can't really decide if this was brave of Zoey or incredibly stupid, so it was probably a little bit of each. The two thank each other for the save, and Mayor Daniels walks over to thank the both of them, with the slightest little bit of snark and frustration detectable in his voice. I am loving Kevin Copeland's acting as Evox. Aren't we forgetting something? Oh, right, the Zord fight! Hey, here's a refreshing change. The Cheetah Beast Blaster is actually used to power a gun finisher, the King Combo Strike, and Tiaratron goes down easily. Guess she won't be winning any beauty pageants. Oh boy, heroes, here we go. As the Rangers return to the lab, Shaw is watching footage from the fight. Nate and Zoey step up and tell Shaw that they are not dating. They are following the rules. They may not like the rule, but they have been following it. Shaw says that she realized that, and also realized that their relationships actually make them stronger, not weaker, after she saw how well they fought together. Yeah, heroes, you may have been able to sense it, but this episode gets an Aladdin ending. Shaw doesn't change the rules often, but when she does, it's for a good reason. From this moment forth, Rangers may now date Rangers, since their relationships make their team stronger.
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong.
So the episode's almost over, so I don't want to harp on this twice so close together. So here's the deal I'm going to make with you heroes. I'm going to save this for the cons, but I'm going to do the cons first this week, so I'll get to it in just a moment. But there is something a little more important to discuss right now. You see, Mayor Evox never got his dose of Morph-X. He's been coughing more and more as the episode goes on. He now collapses and then runs out of Grid Battle Force as the Rangers run after him. Once he gets outside, there's really nowhere for him to hide, and Mayor Daniels is forcibly transformed into Evox in front of everyone. He tells all of them, especially Devin, to forget Mayor Daniels. He's gone now, and then teleports away. All of the Rangers, especially Devin, completely shocked. And that's where we're going to leave this story for 4 to 6 months. Let's throw shades. Episode 8, Secret Struggle. Pros, another primarily plot-focused episode, another cute steal focus, and an incredible cliffhanger. Cons, the confusion of the premise, Shaw being out of character, and some pointless elements. I'm so torn on this one. It had a lot of good, it had a lot of bad. So heck with it, an average score. Secret Struggle gets 3 shades out of 5. So, as I promised, we're going to start with the cons, and I'll try to explain why this premise is kind of broken from the start. In fact, this whole rule against dating thing problem really goes back to Robbie and Roxy. The writing has always treated it like it's the feelings between the people that are actually forbidden. But like I said, that's not something you can legislate. So the rule says that dating is forbidden, but act like it's actually the feelings that are. In fact, as I think about this dating rule, as I explained, it does make a lot of sense, but the dating itself can't prevent the original problem. If two Rangers, who by rule spend a lot of time together, fall in love with each other, you're going to have those same battlefield issues whether they go on dates or not. My bigger issue here is just that Nate and Zoey are rewarded for proving that the rule was stupid when the rule is not stupid, and this episode actually proves why. Nate defends Zoey by just mindlessly throwing his body in front of her, taking a bunch of shots and risking his powers and his life to protect one Ranger versus completing the mission. Zoey then just loses absolute control of her emotions, going ham and using a weapon that is intended to be used by a Ranger. This fight itself proved exactly why Rangers being in relationships is dangerous. But no, apparently Shaw just made that rule on a day that she was in a really bad mood. Maybe she'd had a bad Tinder date or something. And that brings us to Shaw, the Battle Force Queen that we all stan, and like I said before, I get really irritated whenever they use her badly. Shaw seems like the character they just lean on to shift into angry mode whenever the Rangers need to be yelled at. Here's a thought: why wasn't it Ravi that yelled at Nate and Zoey in this episode? Think about this. A, he's a stickler for the rules. B, this rule burned him, so they sure as heck shouldn't get away with it. And C, Commander Shaw really should be more mature and balanced and understanding about everything. Instead, she comes off like she either can't read or doesn't know the difference between dating someone and having feelings for them. The Zord fight in this episode was pretty good, mainly showcasing the Lion Zord's motorcycle mode, but overall it felt kind of pointless and like an afterthought. Why did the villains even send in a Giga-Drone? I guess to split the Rangers up, but they know full well that Devin can take care of one of those by himself, so overall it didn't feel like there was much of a point to it. The other thing it didn't feel like there was much of a point to was the spin saber. Listen, I understand the Power Rangers is a 24-minute toy commercial, but they weren't even subtle about it this time. Unlike the Ultra Bow, the spin saber has no reason to exist other than shoving another toy into the story. However, there are pros. Let's get to those. Once again, we have another plot that just directly deals with the Rangers being the Rangers. But, you object, this is an episode about Steel trying to get Nate and Zoey into a romantic relationship. It's about their personal lives. Yes, but the primary obstacle to that is a grid battle force rule relating to the Power Rangers in battle. This is not a purely personal issue like Ravi and his art. The relationship interferes with the Rangers in battle and plays into Evox's plan. I am on the record as loving the episodes where Steel learns more about humanity, coming at things with the mind of a child. I didn't like how Nate and Zoey didn't seem to know the point of the relationships rule, but I'm totally fine with that with Steel. Again, he's coming at things from the mind of a child. Of course he wouldn't understand. Heck, you could have had Shaw taking Steel aside and explaining the relationship rule as a point of explaining that as a lesson to the audience about how sometimes these types of rules are necessary. But yeah, just his opportunistically pushing Nate and Zoey together into the Undercover mission, tipping over the bowl of ramen so the two of them would have to share. His role in all of this was just very cute. More of Steel learning about humanity, please. Last year, Beast Morphers did not give us a cliffhanger. The 8th episode just ended with Nate and Steel officially becoming Power Rangers. This year we got a cliffhanger. Okay, not exactly a cliffhanger. It's more like a what's gonna happen next moment. Evox is revealed, and for the record, since a couple people have asked me, I do think that 9 episodes is a nice length for the mystery of when the Rangers were gonna find out about Evox there. They could have taken it longer, but it does kind of establish an arc for this part of the season. With Evox revealed, how are the Rangers gonna deal with that? How's Evox's plan gonna change? And how's Devin processing all this? Beast Morphers has this really strong core, but just gets really bad and lazy about its outside fringe details. I guess that's something that works for its younger core audience. There's just enough story consistency to support all the explosions and the new toys and etc., but all you have to do is just scratch that surface and frustrating inconsistencies glare through. It's just really maddening for me because this season does have a strong core to it, so its outer links and details and stuff deserve better attention than they're getting. It just feels kind of lazy, like the writers have decided that they've written this strong core so they can just write whatever they want around it. And so, Power Rangers Beast Morphers 2.0 heads into its summer hiatus. Now, I've already been getting suggestions about what to do for hiatus videos, and will probably continue to do so even after this video gets posted. But heroes, I already announced what I'm going to do for hiatus videos. I took a vow to finish reviewing the remaining 20 episodes of Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills, and that's what I'm going to do. So, to take a peek at the 21st episode of Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills, The Leech, let's welcome back Totally Not 90s Kid. Dude! Calling in from my physical distancing HQ! In your attic, sure! The sorcerer places a mind leech onto Drew in order to find out the identities of the Galactic Sentinels. The mind leech ends up causing a personality change in Drew. Oh yeah, remind me to bring you another slice of pizza, man. That's going to wrap up another Power Rangers Beast Morphers 2.0 episode review, the last one for a good few months. Thank you, heroes, so much as always for watching. Now that the video's over, you can let me know what you thought of this episode, as well as my review of it down in the comments below. And while you're down there, be sure to smack that thumbs up button and let me know that you enjoyed this video. Until next time, when we get to those Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters reviews, may the power protect you. Hello there, heroes. By taking a look at the 8th episode of Beast Morphers 2.0, Secret Struggle. No, but this week it's time to get to the But now we've arrived at the 8th episode. No! He tells Nate that his scare-absorbed So the episode actually begins with Steel walking... Cat? Psst. You need to go outside? That's only meant to mess with the Rangers' lives? He apparently ran out of enough to maintain his Mayor Daniels form, and I don't know the rest. He apparently ran out of enough Evox to maintain his Mayor Daniels form, just as Zoey walks... What? Just as he does, Zoey walks up. Shit. And the... Roxy brings a canister of Morph-X to Mayor Daniel... God damn. The mayor thanks Zoey for saving him, to dangle guns from the grips of her guns and then whip them around like sword whips. You know, kind of like Gia did. And Nate just jabs a tracker into his skin without asking for permission. That was like 8 word things at once happening there. Nate quickly puts together that Steel is trying to set the two up. Steel says that Zoey told him, but okay, good things are happening. While Nate and Zoey sit conspicuously nearby, watching, having some ramen. Nate brings forcing he and Zoey to share theirs. Which itself is another plot hole, because if they have a mayor, I'm messing up really easy lines right now. While he secretly calls Blaze and Roxy and demands that they ramp... The other kind of pointless feeling episode... So, to take a peek at the 21st episode of Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills, I'm gonna toss things over to Totally Not 90s Kid. I should really point out what the title of this episode is. And while you're down there, let me...